Do you want to attract fulfilling and lasting love, but you're stuck in the same old patterns? Maybe it always ends in disappointment, or you doubt that it's even available to you at all. Maybe you have something that limits you or stops you from making these deep connections. Now, this could be with a new partner or even your current one. If this sounds familiar, then keep watching because this is for you. Hi, I'm Robin. I'm a rapid transformational therapist and coach. And in my time, I've met many people who can't find love. And quite often, it's the same blocks and issues that hold them back. So often my clients come in with issues relating to love, their lack of belief in themselves, and they think there is no one for them, that they just can't attract love. And after our work together, we work on their boundaries and we work on their mindset that stops them from attracting the love that they desire. So now I'm going to walk you through my top tips for attracting love, for keeping love, and creating those deep, meaningful relationships. So my first tip is one you've probably heard before, but it really is the basis for forming those deep, meaningful relationships. And that is that you must practice self-love. In order to have rich and fulfilling love, you first have to learn to love yourself. If you think about it, the longest relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. No one knows you better than you do. So it's really, really important to nurture that relationship with yourself. So here's the interesting thing. How can you expect anyone to give you that love that you deserve if you're not giving it to yourself? You see, our brains are this magnificent pattern detection machine. And if you aren't loving yourself, if you're not attracting love to yourself, how do you expect others to give it to you? You see, it's only when you love yourself that you're able to bring the best version of yourself to any relationship. So if you don't love yourself, it's going to be harder to accept love from others. An example of that is if you're always telling yourself, no one can love me. That becomes a pattern. And when you find love, what happens? You tell yourself, no one can love me. So it's important to be able to let yourself accept love. So if you're in a relationship and you have really negative thought patterns, this can lead to all sorts of things: jealousy, resentment, and frequent arguments. So in fact, there was a study done at the Texas University of Psychology. They found that those who practice self-compassion had more fulfilling relationships because they were able to be more caring, accepting, and intimate with their partners. So here's something you can do now to start practicing self-love. I want you to really think about the words you say to yourself on a daily basis. So why is it important for you to really pay attention to the words you're saying and pay attention to the language you use with yourself? This is incredibly important because the words we tell ourselves matter. They matter in a way that helps us move through the world. So if we're telling ourselves negative words on a daily basis, that's the way we're moving through the world. Can you think of anything negative that comes up repeatedly that you're telling yourself over and over again? Just think, if you had a friend in your life who told you those negative things repeatedly, would you keep them in your life? Would you want them around? The answer? Probably not. So here's a piece of advice. You should become your own best friend because you know you better than anybody else. So I want you to try this. Practice saying, I'm worthy of love. I'm deserving of love. I attract abundant love. Love is good for me. I'm available for love. I exude love. Love is my best friend. Now, if you feel some resistance when doing this, that's all the more reason for you to stick with it. Your mind doesn't care what you tell it, whether it's right or wrong, true or false. It all sinks in. Now, my next tip is to allow yourself to be vulnerable. So what do I mean by vulnerability? While you might think of vulnerability as a sign of weakness, actually, vulnerability is a sign of strength. Vulnerability means being authentic and truthful to who you really are. If you can't be vulnerable, you're really going to have a fear about putting yourself out there. And you're naturally going to be fearful of asking that person out because you might be rejected. The more you expose yourself to rejection, the easier it becomes to feel it. And it's all about building that muscle. The fear of rejection may cause you to over people please and not be your authentic self. So then you get trapped because that person likes the person you're pretending to be rather than the person you really are. And that's exhausting. We are all imperfectly perfect. So allow yourself to be your authentic self, especially in love. We connect with each other's imperfections. We are all flawed. And that's the beauty of it. When we can allow ourselves to be imperfect with each other, it's a way of connecting. When you open up and show others your imperfection, you invite them to show theirs as well. And this is a fantastic place to be with others. So we're all afraid of being hurt, each and every one of us. But this is where we go back to that vulnerability, allowing ourselves to get past this hurt in order to invite love in. And it's building that muscle of allowing ourselves to sit in that discomfort so that we can move past that and allow love in again. So remember, if you can't put your authentic self out there, then you won't be able to create those meaningful connections with the right person. So my next tip is to let go of your past hurts. You need to let go of anything from the past that might be holding you back. So an example of that is that you've been in a controlling relationship that's not meeting your needs, and you start to put up walls around you to stop it from happening again. So here are some simple things you can do to reframe those thoughts into something positive. Learn to sit in the discomfort. See it as a practice rather than as something that holds you back. It wasn't a failed relationship. You were practicing. Learn to accept you can get things wrong. This is an opportunity to learn to take away what is positive and to leave the negative behind. The brain has an imprint of when we were hurt in the past, and it tries to avoid it happening again. There's this great quote from Eckhart Tolle: "Pain often arises when we excessively identify with our past, allowing it to define our present moment." This is such a powerful quote. So here's a powerful tool that we use in rapid transformational therapy. It's called That's Not Me. It's a way of disassociating yourself from past hurts. Like what happened in the past is not you today. What happened when you were 20 or 25 is not who you are today. What happened when you were 15 is not who you are today. So it's a way of disassociating yourself from that past hurt. So right now, I want you to take a moment and think of anything that's affecting you from your past, that's affecting your ability to attract love. So I want you to state and affirm to yourself, that's not me anymore. I'm not the person I used to be then. I don't need that in my life. I'm not that 20-year-old anymore. That's just not me. So my final tip is all about communication. Now, this is important if you're looking for someone new or you're already in a relationship. Honest communication forms the basis of trust. It's where you create more authentic relationships. So if good communication is the foundation of any relationship, it allows you to communicate your needs, your desires, your wants in a more authentic way. So if you can effectively communicate your needs, you're going to attract the person who's right for you. Part of good communication is setting good internal boundaries. And I did a video of that, which you can check out here. If you want a long-term commitment, then you need to communicate this up front. This applies to any situation and dating, because if you're not doing that, you will not attract the right people for you. Or if you're in a relationship already and you can't communicate your needs, this will lead to resentment. For instance, if you're a really tidy person and your partner is very messy, if you don't voice your feeling of frustration and you just allow this to keep happening, you're going to build up just a well of resentment. And this is why communication is so vital to being able to communicate your desires, your needs, and your expectations. So I want you to remember these tips. Treat yourself with compassion. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Give yourself permission to let go of past hurts. And remember to communicate with clarity. By taking these simple actions, you can find and keep the love that you deserve. Please like and subscribe if you want more great tips from myself and other amazing therapists. I'll see you next time.